Hi, Mark Anthony here to show you one of my most popular recipes, breakfast sausage. And today I've got a lot of ingredients. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. We are going to supersize this batch. And I do a lot of batch cooking commercially, so this is what I do. I've actually got some black beans here, and you'll notice my recipe calls for white beans. And I'm gonna use black beans. You can use any kind of beans you want. In fact, what we're gonna do is at the end of this recording, I will actually list the exact recipe for a single recipe, but we're going 4x today, 4 times the amount. So instead of 1 cup of beans, we're doing 4 cups of beans. Instead of 1 cup of chicken broth, we're doing 4 cups of chicken broth. And so the entire recipe is gonna be really supersized here. I've got some olive oil here, and this right here is Bragg's liquid aminos. You can also use low sodium soy sauce, and then I've got some maple syrup. And if you're gonna use the maple syrup that is not real maple syrup, make sure you get the one that is without the high fructose corn syrup. That's the ones I use if I'm ever going to use that type. And okay, now we've got our liquids in here, so we're going to start giving this a stir. And when it comes to breakfast sausage, it's all about the spices. It really is. And right now I'm just mashing those beans down. I'm going to get everything kind of incorporated so it's nice and smooth. Spice-wise, when it comes to sausage, you're going to have some sage, which you cannot really go overboard on the sage. You can use plenty of sage. I've got some thyme, some rosemary, and some paprika. So those are my main spices, but then you have to have it kicked up a notch with some of these fennel seeds. Fennel seeds is one of your key ingredients. If you've ever done pizzas before, it works really good in that too. But those fennel seeds are awesome. Sometimes you can use ground fennel seed, or you can take your fennel seeds if you want and just put them in the food processor and just give them a blend, and that'll actually help bust them up a little bit. And then the aroma and the flavors just really pour out of them. So a couple strategies there for getting more flavor out of them. Especially if your seeds are old, really helps get flavor out of them. And then we've got some nutritional yeast flakes, a cup of that. So it would actually be 1/4 cup in the actual recipe for a single batch, but we're doing a 4x batch today. I've got some of this textured vegetable protein, which is just soy. It's a soy product. It's a simple, not a big processed item like a lot of this stuff is out in today's society. And I've talked about those products before. If you haven't seen those, be a good one to educate yourself about soy products. And if you want, you can hit it with a pinch of red pepper just to kind of kick it up a notch. And then our thickening agent basically is going to be this Vital Wheat Gluten flour, VITAL, Vital Wheat Gluten. Different than the high gluten flour that you would use for pizza doughs and things like that. Vital is a real high gluten flour. It's actually good for breads and different things. Of course, if you're a celiac, then you're not going to want to use this particular recipe, but for the rest of you, for the other 99% of the population, you'll be just fine with this. And so we're going to give this a stir. And what I did is I left a little bit out because I actually want to get this incorporated before I really start figuring out how thick I'm going to have it. Especially when you're making big batches, it's kind of a trial and error. A lot of times you'll do a 4x or a 6x on a little batch, and the little batch turns out great, and then all of a sudden the big batch just does not turn out exactly like the little batch does. And that's kind of a just happens that way sometimes. Usually it does pretty good. So I'm just kind of adding a little bit of flour at a time here at the end. And I do this even if I'm doing a single batch. So, because I want to see how thick this is going to be. And I want it definitely thicker than this, so I think we're going to be okay. I've got 5 cups here, because normally it'd be 1 1/4 on an actual recipe. So it's good to just put a little bit at a time like this, that way it's not all clumping together. And I'm going to use it all. I am definitely going to use it all, it looks like. And I actually even brought an extra bag just in case I needed more. Because you want this a little bit on the drier side. If it's too wet, it'll take too long to cook. So looks pretty good right there. That works for me. And I think what I'll do, just for fun, is grab my gloves here and really play around. I think I'll turn my flames on there. Get that pan warmed up here. Okay. Now comes the fun part. There we go. See, that way I'm getting all the bottom, make sure it's completely mixed together. And you can see how it is kind of soft. It is a little soft. It didn't look that soft when I was doing it, but as I went a little bit farther there, I was like, yeah, I think I could use a little bit more flour. So we're gonna just give it a little bit more here, and that'll take care of that. Good for kids that like to play in their food. Yes, this is a good play in my food type of recipe. Okay, I think that's going to do the trick there. And then, when I've got it here, let me set this aside for just a minute. And we're going to grab a big sheet of foil here. And we're going to take this, and we're going to take about 1/3 of it and wrap it up in this foil, just like a Tootsie Roll. So we're kind of forming it nice and tight in the beginning too. Then we're gonna give this baby a nice, kind of tighten up those edges as we go along, just like that. Okay, and I can even turn the sides and see how it tightens up just like a Tootsie Roll. That's what we're looking for, just tighten it up just like a Tootsie Roll there. Okay, and then I've got a couple other ones here for you. Here's what we're going to do. I saved a couple little pieces here because you can make little ones like this, and you just make it. In fact, we do a lot of them like this. We'll make little itty bitty ones, and then you just roll the sides up just like this, and boom. You got your little Tootsie Rolls. That's what you're looking for right there, little Tootsie Rolls. And of course, this one here, we're gonna do the same thing. And we're gonna roll this together, just like little Tootsie Rolls. And you wanna tighten it up, because that way it gets your nice uniform look to them, just like that. Okay, now these are gonna go in the oven. This right here goes in the oven. And the smaller ones only take about 30 minutes to do. And I'm actually going to do a water bath where I put about 3 or 4 cups of water inside this pan. I'll put it in the oven, and then I'll pour the water inside, so it's actually sitting in a water bath. 350 degrees. These are going to take about half an hour. These are going to take about an hour to an hour and a half. So it does take a little bit longer. And let me show you what they look like when they come out. There we go. And I'm going to share with you right here. You can see some of these that are popped open, because what I'll do here is I'm going to do a couple little stabs just to make sure we've got some little pressure going, a little air being able to release from them. But when you pull them apart, let's see if we can pull some little ones here. And these just came out of the oven So a lot of times I'm gonna let them rest a little bit too. But boom, you got your breakfast sausage. And they look good, they taste good. Like I said, you can use any kind of beans you want. This is one of those fun recipes that I came up with quite a few years ago. And I've used it many times over the years. And because it's got such fabulous flavor. And that little bit of oil there just really gives you a realistic. So we got those types. And then let me show you like this big one here. See, it's still steaming hot. That's why I like to wear gloves. And don't worry about this piece right here. That's okay if it breaks open like that. That is perfectly okay. We're just gonna roll this out just like that. Looks like a filet mignon. So when you get it here, what I do with these big rolls is I'm gonna do slices. And then these slices are going to get, put a little bit of olive oil in here. These slices are going to get fried up. So it'll be like breakfast patty sausage. That's what those will be like. Just like that. So it's that easy to do breakfast sausages. You can do big batches, throw them in the freezer, pull them out when you want, and then just fire them up. And I will want to get some browning action on these. See, you can see how these are browning already. Look at that. That's what you're looking for. And when you get that crispness, that crisp browning action on it, whoo boy, put some of that on each side and people are gonna say, wow, this is really great, because it is. So that's what you do, just a 4X. We're gonna put the single recipe on the end of this segment so you can freeze frame and copy it off and everything. Or I've got this recipe on my website at chefmarkanthony.com. And by all means, help share these messages, send them off to your friends and family all over the country, all over the world. And we will see you next time in the kitchen.